Hey everybody, it's Monday. We're so excited to have Tricia Thornton with us. She's coming out with a new book. It's called Blessing from Fear. And man, we were just talking before we went live here. I think we can all relate to that because we've all had some kind of fear at some point in our life. How's it going this morning?
It's great. Thank you. It's warm outside. It feels great.
I know the sun is out. That's
Mhm,
always my big thing. I love it when the sun is out and
mhm.
it's warm. It feels like summer.
Yes. Yes.
So tell us more about your book. It's coming out on April 23rd, so we're getting a preview before it even comes out and hits the
Yes,
shelves.
you are. So I have it right here. So this is my book. Let me hold it correctly. And it is called Blessing from Fear. And the subtitle is Embracing Your Journey and Discovering Your True Self. And it's really about how we all face fear. And we all have had that fear shape us into who we are today. And so it really is a guide, whether you have children or not. It is full of neurological sound tools for you to use to overcome those fears. And then I use my examples from my own traumatic journey from starting at 6.5 years old through today, and how those tools can be used. So, and hopefully the reader will walk away as I did with a newfound joy of how they can see their fear as a blessing.
Yeah, so tell me about that because you
Mhm.
mentioned that you had a pretty traumatic experience around the age of 6. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes. So tragically, my grandmother, who was kind of like a second mom to me, was killed in our driveway when her car rolled back over her.
Oh, wow.
Thankfully, I wasn't present at the moment. So that happened, which was an enormous amount of loss for me at 6.5 in a very tragic way. And then 3 weeks later, we were robbed by an intruder who came into our home. And so put those two together, fear just became imprinted upon my brain and then just went forward through my life in every different facet of my life.
Wow, that's a lot as a
It was
kid.
it was a lot at 6.5 years old. It was a lot. And then there were several other little things throughout my journey that I record in the book.
Yeah. So you
Relate.
mentioned your experience at the age of 6, and I know as parents, we don't want our kids to experience any kind of fear if we could help it, but
Mhm.
unfortunately life happens and things happen. So talk us through, like, as a parent, how we can help our kids. Some amount of healthy fear is good, I know. We don't
100%.
want them doing crazy things, but
100%.
yet sometimes I feel like in our society, I don't know, I feel like sometimes fear gets fed more, it feels
Yes.
like. Is
Yes.
that your experience?
Yes, that's a great way to put it. Our children are bombarded by images all day, whether that's on social media or on the news or even just word of mouth from their friends. And that all of that just gets fed into their brains. And then our children come home from school, and the parents are then triggered by those fears that their children have. So, where I usually say, a lot of times I get asked, what is the best thing a parent can do? And the number one thing a parent can do is first take care of themselves,
Mm.
which is really hard. So, we first have to address self care as a parent, because a parent has to be somewhat balanced, not perfection, but somewhat balanced and grounded in using different mindfulness techniques, so then they can model those to their children.
Hmm. Wow. Okay, so that I think, when in hearing that, I think that's hard for us because we're, as parents, used to doing action for our kids and not
100%.
necessarily taking the time for ourselves.
It feels like it's passive, but it's actually the most active thing you can do.
Yeah. So tell us what that might look like as a
Yeah.
parent.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, one idea is just to be aware that all feelings are okay. It doesn't matter what you're feeling, it's just what we do with them. So, as a parent, we want to give to our children that knowledge. We want to provide them with the idea that it is okay to be mad, it is okay to be sad, but what can they do with it? So,
Mm.
if the parent learns the techniques themselves, they can then teach them. And I do that here as a therapist and a play therapist here, but I also do that through the book and teach them lots and lots of tools. One example, just a basic example, is you want to teach deep breathing.
Mm.
And that is very key to regulate your central nervous system. And then also another one is to be aware of what the five senses are telling us, because that's how our brains are directly receive messages. So a simple activity, and there's so many versions of this, is but you can say, what are three things you see, three things you hear, and three things you touch? That works for any age child and any age parent or
Mm.
any age adult.
Yeah.
And that just kind of helps to calm you. And remember, calm is not really necessarily the goal. It's more just that you feel a little bit more balanced.
Mm-hmm. And listening to you talk about those techniques and things, I think sometimes with fear, sometimes it's better to acknowledge it and maybe try to work through it instead of feeding, well, all the what ifs, what ifs, what ifs, right? Is that
Absolutely, 100%. And like you said, there is a healthy amount of fear. Our brains were wired to respond to when you hear a siren coming down the street and you don't walk out in the middle of the street. So that's the blessing part, where you actually don't go in the middle of the road when the fire truck is coming. However, our brain can play tricks on us, and we can perceive fear when it's not really real.
That's a good point.
Mhm.
Wow. Well, this book is coming out on April 23rd. Also, you said you had a practice here locally. Are you seeing new people?
Yes, I am. So I always encourage people just to email me at, they can go to my website, honestly, is probably the best, at triciathornton.com. And all my contact information is there. I also will be at Main Street Festival in Franklin on, I'm so excited. Right in front of Landmark Bookstore. I'll be at a table signing books that day on the 27th, on Saturday. I'll be there from 2 to 5 p.m.
Okay. So people can come and see you and meet
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
ask their questions, get the book in person. It's only going to be out a few
Absolutely.
days.
Yes, yes. And then I'll also be at Logos Christian Bookstore here in Green Hills, right across from, people know the food company. I'll be right there on Bandywood. So I'll be there on the 23rd. And then there'll be other Williamson County events coming up. So I tell everybody just to keep up with my social media at Tricia Therapy, or Tricia Thornton Therapy is my handle name on all my social media, or on my website. All the events will be listed.
Perfect. Hey, thanks for talking to
Thank
us. I could have
you.
talked all day about this because I feel
Yeah,
like this is such a hot topic and there's so many things
it's a good topic. So
to talk about. But the book will help you. You can
yes,
work through that.
absolutely. It can be pre-ordered anywhere books are sold today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Hey, thanks for chatting with us. And you guys don't miss her on Main Street Festival. That's going to be so fun.
Yeah,
Hopefully, it
that's
won't rain
perfect.
that weekend.
No, hope for good weather.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Vanessa.